What is up, YouTube? It is Doc here, Docky Style Gaming, and I am back at it again with another GodFall video for you all today. And in this video, we are taking a look at my updated, new and improved Beast of a Mesa build. I've been meaning to put out this video for a while and I just haven't got around to it. So now I'm actually dropping it and showing off the updated build and what honestly, in my opinion, is probably the best way to go when it comes to Mesa. So, like I always say, without wasting any more of y'all's time, let's actually just get straight into this video because it might be kind of quick because I'm just going to go over what's new and what all has changed. So first, before we get straight into the build, because I completely forgot in my last Mesa build video, I never showed the skill tree. And considering I have now made major changes to my skill tree, I say major, I made some changes to my skill tree. I want to show that off now, just so we can get that out of the way and just so I don't forget. So what I'm rocking right now is maxed out weapon technique, maxed out on all of my attributes. So my might's maxed out, my vitality's maxed out, and my spirit is maxed out. Takedowns are at 5, which they definitely should be, along with their crit chance, crit damage, and augments are a must. Everything else you can kind of pick and choose where you want to place it, but those are the crucial ones in my opinion that I would max out. Taking a brief look at the Ascension Levels, this is pretty much what I'm rocking, but to sound like a broken record, until you get to 375, none of the other stats really matter, because that's when you're going to be getting all of the new and improved, better, stronger stats. And then taking a quick look at the element powers, this is what I'm rocking as well. But now that we got that out of the way, let's take a fast look at the attributes and then go over what all has changed with this build. So attributes that we're sitting at right now is over 3,031 might. We have 2188 in spirit and 2718 in our vitality. Our primary DPS is over 3,200 and our secondary DPS is over 2,200. Our crit chance is sitting at a nice 72.2% and our crit hit damage is at 173, which is very nice in my opinion. And then to show off the detailed stats, this is what everything is looking like right now. So now let's take a look at the weapons. Now when it comes to my primary, nothing has changed. I'm still rocking the Sword of Dominance with the Greater Blessing of Luck and some shield charge speed whenever you perform a crit hit. Greater Blessing of Luck is beneficial because every time you inflict elements, you'll get some additional crit. And with this build, you're always inflicting elements. So that extra crit on top of that 70 is always nice. Now the Obsidian Blades is the biggest change to this build. This is beneficial for being able to spam and consistently proc poison procs nonstop. Now these are actually purple dual blades that I leveled up to legendary and can drop as a primal. I just haven't got any good ones yet, but if you are looking for them as a primal, you can get them from the Ascended Towers of Trials. But the primary stat on here is you gain polarity attack charge speed whenever you perform a crit hit. Now again, with our crit being so high, you're always going to be performing it and you're always going to be stacking up that polarity attack charge speed. Now, why is that beneficial? Well, every time you pop your polarity attack, you deal poison. If we go take a quick look at Mesa's passive, it says polarity attacks deal earth damage and inflict poison. So being able to spam that as fast as possible and as much as possible is very beneficial for this build. Now, speaking of my play style, when I play this, is I consistently have my dual blades out. You should be seeing some gameplay in the background, but the key is to consistently deal damage until you max out your polarity attack bar. Once you do that, swap to your long swords and then swap right back to your dual blades. Every time you do that, you will proc poison on enemies in an AoE. And every time you continue to do that, it will continue to stack those poison procs. And once an enemy blows up, it'll pass that poison proc to another enemy, essentially just a chain of poison and a chain of explosions and a AoE. It is ridiculous how fast you can kill enemies and how easy it is to proc poison on multiple enemies around you. Now, when it comes to a substitution for the Obsidian Blades, you can always go Twin Dragons, which are the dual primary dual blades that drop in the Ascended Towers of Trials. These can have one of the primaries being from the Obsidian Blades, along with a secondary perk. So if you want to deal some additional damage, if you potentially have a good roll that is in Earth DPS with good secondaries as well, that's also another very good substitution. Now, for me, when it comes to my Twin Dragons, I have not got a single good one with the rolls that I want, so good luck farming that if that's the route you're going. Now, moving on to the charm, I'm using the God Beast Eye Core, which is essential for spreading poison every time you defeat an enemy. Mark of the Duelist is the same item I'm using as well. I just got one with slightly better stats, but it gives you some additional health whenever you perform a crit hit. Ruby Band is another very, very good item to have that pairs perfectly with the obsidian blades, and it gives you some additional polarity attack charge whenever you have more might than any other attribute. Again, you're going to want to spam your polarity attack over and over so you can consistently proc poison on every enemy around you. Next, what has changed from my last build is my Eye of the Dragon. Now, it's still the Eye of the Dragon, but I did get a better one that is primal, that has a bit better stats, but whenever you defeat an element inflicted enemy, you'll get some overhealth. And it's pretty self-explanatory. Every time you kill an enemy, you're pretty much going to be gaining overhealth because you're proccing poison on everything. Something else that has changed is my Plague Pendant. I got a good primal one as well, so that is what I'm rocking. That gives you some additional element power and damage to each enemy that has element on them. And then last but not least, for the Lifestone, no surprise, Archon's Tear for some additional crit. Now, when it comes to my augments, actually nothing has changed, so I'm not even going to go over all of them in detail because if you want to check that out, I'll leave that in my last video. But let's just take a brief look at them right here. We have the Azura's Fang, which is a cursed augment that comes from the Lightbringer game mode, which is just for that additional poison duration. Then we have Paradise, which is for some additional weapon technique charge speed, which also helps proc poison. Then we have Void Shell, which is for some additional overhealth whenever you perform a crit hit. Next, we have Force Barrier, which is actually an essential one, and I recommend you use it. That allows your attacks to not be interrupted whenever you're over 50% overhealth. Right next to that, we have Lion's Pride. And then we have another cursed item, the Wild Hunt, which again drops from the Lightbringer game mode, which gives you some additional poison damage whenever you hit an enemy that has 8 or more poison stacks, which is very, very easy to do. Then right below that, we have Focus, which is for some additional overhealth whenever you perform a crit hit, which again, with over 70% crit hit and the greater blessing of luck, you're always going to be performing some crit, which means your survivability will be very, very good. Then right across from that, we have a Primal Twilight Balloon, or you can use the normal one as well, but it will give you some additional weapon technique damage if at least 2 of your augments are red. And then last but not least is the last cursed augment, which comes from the Lightbringer game mode as well, and it's just for some flat out base crit with some good secondaries. Now, when it comes to these augments, you want to make sure Twilight Bloom is in this spot so it could feed off of these 2 augments, and you'll also want to make sure Void Shell is right here so it can feed off of the Might augments and Might stats on Force Barrier once you put it on there. Now, Lion's Pride is a personal pick. If you want some additional survivability, rock Lion's Pride, because that'll give you some additional overhealth every time you can defeat an enemy, and it is very easy to defeat enemies with Mesa. But if you want to deal more damage, Rift is the augment to go with. You'll deal increased damage for each type of element inflicted on an enemy, including your teammates and yours. And again, you will always be proccing poison with this build, so again, that additional damage is always nice. So if you feel like you don't need the extra overhealth, you really don't need to rock Lion's Pride, and if you want some additional damage, definitely swap it out for Rift. But that is the new and improved build in a nutshell. I've been wanting to post it for a while, but I just have not got around to it. So hopefully this has helped out some of you players who have been using my old Mesa build and switched to this one because I personally recommend it, and because you're not using the miyoks fangs like my last build was, it's not as restrictive because the miyoks fangs, in order for it to be beneficial, you have to have 60 earth resistance, which pretty much means you have to build around that. Whereas with the obsidian blades in its place, you can put on whatever secondaries you want. You don't have to worry about trying to focus on getting earth resistance on your secondary stats. So in my opinion, this is definitely the ideal build to go with, and honestly probably higher damage dealing build, just because you could keep proccing your polarity attacks, which helps you proc unlimited poison procs. But like always, let me know if you tried out this build and the last build and how it's been working for you, and if you are a Mesa player, how has this build been working for you? Other than that though, I am going to wrap up this video, so thank you all for watching, and like always, be sure to join the Discord if you haven't. A link to that is in the video description, along with the link to the Twitch channel. I stream every Tuesdays and Fridays with GodFall, and then other days I decide to stream. It's pretty much a mix mash of whatever. So if you haven't followed the Twitch, I highly recommend you do that as well. That's where all of my streams will be moving forward with this channel. Other than that, that's all I got, so I will catch you all on the next one. Thank you all for watching, and like always, I'm out here, guys. Thanks for the love, thanks for the subs, peace.